the thing is that I tried to hide my finance background from people at Bad Boy in the music industry.
Why?
You know what? I didn't want people to think I was a square.
Okay.
I wanted people to think that I was cool.
Yeah.
Puffy is one of the hardest working men I've ever met. Man,
Wow.
this guy works really hard.
Yeah.
And he really enjoyed what he does. So I could say that. And it really pushed me to work hard. He actually had a famous thing he used to say in the office that while everyone is sleeping, I'm working.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that.
Yeah.
He it's the 90s. It's the hustle and grind, culture.
Yep.
Which you don't really find anymore, but it still works, working hard, especially doing something that you like. You don't have to pull an all-nighter every single night, but I mean,
You might have to do a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you love something, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just doing it. It's a part of you, So that's what I picked up from Puffy.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. I'm Saj, and this is Jack.
How we doing?
Good. How we doing?
Good. We have a special guest today.
We do. We have Mr. Daniel Evans in the house. He's the CEO of Evans & Company. It's a financial planning and management company. Before I butcher anything, he's got a very extensive background and story and very interesting things that he's done in the past. And obviously we'll touch into this.
Yeah, for sure.
But Daniel, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Of course, our pleasure.
Absolutely. So I guess we can start off for those who may not be familiar, with who you are and what you do. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about those things?
So Evans & Company was formed as a wealth management firm. We manage assets for clients, but it has evolved into financial planning for clients. And then that was back in 2013. And then in 2020, during the pandemic,
Right.
things kind of slowed down. And it started to make me think. I have actually a pretty nice background in finance. I worked in venture capital. I worked in investment banking, corporate finance.
Right.
And so I said, why am I not using these skill sets in my business?
Yeah.
There are so many financial advisors out there, and it's hard to differentiate yourself between them. We're all offering pretty much the same things. I mean, we could all buy an Apple stock pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So this is something I felt differentiated me.
Okay.
And so I started offering services to entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, people in the startup space, but even people who are in later stage who are exiting.
Okay.
Because I've worked on mergers, acquisitions, and done IPOs. I've done about over 30 exits.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so
That's super cool.
Yeah, so I've done a lot, and I'm not using that skill set.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I'm gonna use that skill set.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's been great. That part of the business has taken off a little bit.
Good.
But
This is something you discovered during COVID.
Yeah.
And then you were like, okay, things are kind of like very turbulent right now. What can I do to adjust and evolve, right?
Right.
And then you kind of like dug deeper a little bit into your past and your history, and you kind of like used that to adapt. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's super fascinating.
Well, I had all this time on my hands. Couldn't go anywhere.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
So it's like,
It's locked at home with the family.
Yeah.
You
and the big part of my business is meeting people, like
Yeah.
being out there.
Yeah.
I can't meet people. I have to set up Zoom, and I'm not really technically savvy either.
Okay.
So I have to learn a lot of things about
Yeah.
how to connect with people and
How
do
to use the
video.
platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
You're
and,
Zoom savvy though, at least.
Yeah, I could do a little,
Screen sharing.
I Zoom a little bit. I do a little Google Meets from time to time.
there we
I just
go.
found out about
That's all you need.
Microsoft Teams.
That one's
Okay,
okay.
yeah,
I'm not the
okay.
biggest fan of that, to be honest, because it's just so
people ask me to do
complicated. You gotta log in and do all this
It's just
stuff.
like weird. You're weird.
Yeah.
Just stick to Zoom.
It's
not
whatever.
Google Meet.
It's okay.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, all good.
That's true. That's true. That's
Now,
great.
I know, I think we definitely want to get into, your background and kind of how you got to this place. But based off of just like your introduction, I have to ask this question, being that you're super involved in like the financial realm and management. Cryptocurrency. Share me your thoughts. I would imagine you've probably had some clients that are interested in it, or have at least at the bare minimum asked you about it. Would you mind maybe sharing, a broad stance, or your thoughts on it?
First of all, well, I have to tell you this quick story.
Okay,
So
Please, love that.
I was on a rideshare, Uber.
Okay.
With this kid. Okay.
Okay.
I say kid. I mean, he's a 22-year-old.
Okay, got it.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, younger than me. And we're talking.
Yeah.
He's asking me, so what do you do? I'm like, I'm a financial advisor. Oh, you are? I got to show you this app on my phone. I'm like, okay. We'll just show.
Yeah.
So he's showing me the dashboard of this coin that he bought. And I'm looking at it and I'm rolling my eyes like, what is this? He said, I bought this for 40 cents. And now it's like $500.
No.
I'm like, what? Like, what? Is this real? Like, a friend of mine told me about it. I bought coins, And I was like, nah, that's I don't know about that. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what Bitcoin is. It's 2017.
Okay.
First of all, the thing is, when you work for a large wealth management firm, you're kind of like conditioned to just scoff at things that are not like on the platform.
Right.
In
I mean,
compliance and stuff.
It
Like
seemed
that.
too good to be
year
true
was
almost.
this with this Uber ride? How long ago was this?
It's 2017.
This was,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty archaic. Like back then, a lot of people haven't adopted to it, and it's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like,
Bitcoin's like what, around like
it's become Bitcoin Prime.
14-ish.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's funny. I remember this kid's name, but I shouldn't call him a kid. He's a young man. But I always think about him like, did he actually sell that at $500 a share, or did he sell it like 6,000? Like what?
Wait, was it Bitcoin? No.
It was
What
Bitcoin.
it? Oh no.
He bought Bitcoin for $400 at 40 cents a coin.
Insane. Oh my god.
Okay, so he had 1,000 coins, and then when he showed it to me, I don't know when he bought it.
Yeah.
But when he showed it to me, it was at $500 a coin,
Jesus.
and he showed me the balance. It was like 500 grand,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no way. I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like over $20 million today. That 1,000 Bitcoin, and at its peak, it would have been $50 million.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Like maybe a year and a half ago. Like that's what it was.
yeah, even if he held on to it through the pandemic, he would have made $6 million.
He showed you this dashboard, right?
Yeah.
So you always wonder like what happened to that. He probably, let me tell you, he probably sold.
But at what, 500? You think, or like, who would you do?
I mean, I think he might have held, because if he held on to it for that long.
How long did he hold on to it for? That's a good question.
Well, it was at 500 when he showed it to me.
But he also said he bought it at 40 cents. So he was holding for.
A while.
He was
for a
afraid to
minute.
touch it. He told me.
Yeah.
Then he's probably a multi-millionaire. He's probably made
Has to be.
$10-20 million of it, because that's what people that hold, man, they hold.
That's an interesting little
Yeah.
story there.
But that was the first time I ever heard of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And I was and after that I kind of dismissed it because I
Okay.
was like, I don't know, this, I think this kid got scammed, But after a couple of years, it was all over the headlines,
Yes.
and you heard about all these crypto millionaires,
Yep.
and I was like, man, I was like on the ground. I was pretty much
Early, like you
I was
actually
really
got
early.
like a little bit of a hint that, hey man, this thing is gonna pop. I'm showing you my dashboard. Why aren't you buying?
yeah. But the thing is, like, so as a macro thematic manager, I mean, you're supposed to be looking at the big picture of things. You're supposed to be like doing deeper dives and sort of like finding,
Yeah.
the takeaway type of thing. And I totally missed this.
Yeah.
I missed it. And I said to myself, I'm not going to miss this again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to do as much research and studying on crypto as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like all I saw was Bitcoin, and then I started learning about Ethereum and then Solana and all these different currencies, but I still could not figure out how they're all connected and why these currencies were doing so well.
Okay.
But what I found out about a couple weeks ago, which is about to happen next week, is the merge. Have you guys heard of the merge?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, we're big into cryptocurrency. Like even at Final View Productions, when you came in, I was telling you about the tech company.
Yeah.
We have a lot of clients in the blockchain space now because
Nice.
we introduced blockchain as a service very recently. So we have, different projects that are like NFT based, token based, metaverse projects. So we're dealing with a lot of with multiple chains. We're dealing with Solana and Ethereum. So we're very this is our job. We have to be very well versed in what's
Super
going on.
fun.
Yeah, the merge is super fascinating though. To a lot of people that don't know what Daniel's talking about, Ethereum's going through a massive merge. This is why Ethereum's kind of rallying again right now. It was like 1750 yesterday that I checked. I don't remember.
Like that.
Yeah, it was like hurting at 1500, 1400. But basically, Ethereum's going to become kind of like Bitcoin when this merge is fully completed.
There's talks that it
the end of
might
the month.
flip. I've seen talks of that happening.
What do you mean, man?
That's
Why
what
are
I've
you
heard
saying
too.
these things?
That's. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying
What do you mean it might flip?
like Ethereum will be at a higher cost than Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
from like
okay,
a
yeah,
cost
okay,
standpoint.
okay, you're scaring me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't care. Bitcoin has no utility. Like Bitcoin is
It's like the
literally-
gold of crypto.
Dude.
That's that's a good comparison.
That's the thing. Like it's a gold of crypto, but Ethereum with this merge, with this like 2.0, is gonna become limited. People can't mine Ethereum anymore, which is going to be insane.
Well, the rate is going to be like 1 to 2/10 of what it was. Like, you're going to be able to do it's going to be so much like smaller.
All of these banks, all of these mining organizations in China, and everywhere,
It's big for
they're
them.
done.
They're pretty much done. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
done. Think about it.
Yeah.
Like they're not. What are they? Well, they have to go to another chain for it to even be remotely possible,
Yeah.
like profitable for them, because
Right.
they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on just electricity fees every month to keep their warehouses operational. You know, and maybe even more, maybe $1 million. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I
Well, yeah.
mean, the funny thing is that I don't even know how any of those other currencies will survive.
Yeah.
Because isn't Ethereum an ecosystem of currencies based on their blockchain? I mean, that's the way I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, the Ethereum blockchain is the powerhouse of a lot of different
Yeah.
Yeah.
things that have kind of stemmed from it. But I mean, there are a lot of different like Solana's going to be pretty big. Cardano's pretty good. There are a lot of different blockchains that have a lot of
Like
pros,
different
more
utilities.
Pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they've learned from the mistakes of Bitcoin. They've learned from the mistakes of Ethereum. Ethereum was pretty early too.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So they're kind of like adding. All
Yeah.
these different-
Well, I needed to ask, and I apologize, I guess, for the little tangent, but
No, I mean, but to answer your question, because I was excited when you asked,
Yeah.
is that started actually the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
okay.
I started to integrate cryptocurrency into the traditional portfolio.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
you don't have to actually go out and get your own separate wallet at Coinbase or
Yeah.
Binance. You could actually have cryptocurrencies in your portfolio with your stocks, with your bonds, with your mutual funds, ETFs. So
Yes.
that's a really cool development that happened this year.
Do you have to use certain tools to make that happen on your end?
No, I have a great custodian that
Okay.
does all of the back office stuff.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's a great experience for the client. They don't have to have a bunch of different accounts. Everything is right there.
Yeah.
And I can move in and out of cryptos if I need to.
Yeah.
Just like I do with a stock
Yeah.
or a bond issue with it. So
Do you
it's
have a
pretty
lot of
cool.
clients that have a lot of crypto in their portfolio and things like that? Are you dealing with that actively?
I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
And the thing is, the merge is really what has driven me to have these thoughtful conversations with them.
Okay.
Because I really couldn't, to be honest with you, even though I was excited about crypto and I was excited about what Bitcoin has done over the last, 11, 12 years, I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
it's like. I don't know, like you said, it's kind of like there's no real intrinsic value to
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So then it makes it really hard to just create a story out of the rest of the
Yeah.
market.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is why personally, I mean, you know this, personally, I don't invest in Bitcoin like that. I invest in Ethereum. I've been investing in Ethereum for years and years. And anytime I find an opportunity to just keep dollar cost averaging on Ethereum alone, I'm like a big believer in that.
Yeah.
But I've never felt like that for Bitcoin, just from,
Just a pure utility, like
collector's item.
with Ethereum, you know, there's other tech that can be built on top of it. That's why it's, you know, it's just super valuable, you know, even from a long-term standpoint.
Plus, you don't know who created it. It's not public news, and like what happens when it does become public. Like, there's so many different uncertainties and factors.
Yeah, with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I don't want to put my money on a risk factor like that. That's kind of like, and plus, like you see, it's up and down. It's up and down. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and I'm glad if it flips, it would be really good because it'll be stable.
Yes.
And right now, all these other cryptocurrencies are kind of like mirroring what happens with Bitcoin, and they follow Bitcoin trends.
Yep.
Bitcoin goes up, they go up. Bitcoin goes down, they go down. I mean, it's so scary for investors that, like, I have learned to stop looking at my portfolio, but there are a lot of people that are obsessed with it, and I'm sure you deal with a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, my clients don't obsess over it. It's funny because when we have our quarterly reviews, I find it very difficult to get them
On the phone?
Get them in a meeting. They don't worry about. I mean, I talk to them a lot anyway.
Yeah.
They don't really worry so much.
Okay.
I don't really have clients that look at their accounts every day and call me and say, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?"
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Well, that's
Yeah, I don't really
fantastic.
have that. But I mean, I get it though. There are people who just. They see their 401ks, for example, and they just they see it's down. They make all kinds of changes,
Yeah.
you know, on the fly, and that's probably not good.
Yeah.
But,
So I guess, and I know you have an extensive background. And I know Saj and I have a couple. We want to find out more. I know we know you worked at the Bad Boy Entertainment for quite a while.
So was it Bad Boy Entertainment or Bad Boy Records? Like, what was the How does that? That's the same thing, right?
yes, that's an interesting story because it's Bad Boy Entertainment in the United States,
Okay.
but it's Bad Boy Records internationally
Oh, that
because a
makes sense.
British apparel company owns the global trademark to Bad Boy Entertainment,
Wow, that's
kinda
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
and they are they're an apparel company that
Yeah,
makes whatever. I don't know what they make.
So tell us. So I guess we could start with a little bit of like your origin, if you're comfortable talking about it.
Sure.
Your origin and background. So you were there in the early years with Diddy,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Puff. We called him Puff then.
With Puff. Oh, we called him Puff back then. Okay.
That was his name. And the funny thing is that I actually before I went to the music business, I was in London. I was working there in venture capital,
Okay.
and that's when I heard of Puffy.
Okay.
My sisters, I'd say, "Hey, what's going on in the United States? What's happening over there?" "Oh, listen to this record, or Mary J. Blige, or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And yeah, this guy named Puffy, and I'm like, "What a weird name for who calls himself that?" So,
Yeah.
and it turns out I ended up working for the guy, like 4 years later.
So insane.
Wow.
So-
And now, how was your experience? What was I know Saj and I've read a little bit, but
Sure.
can you tell us more about like your main role there?
So I was well, first of all, I was working at Arista Records as an intern.
Okay.
Okay.
And then someone had said, you should go work for this company, called Bad Boy Entertainment. They're young and, they're looking for people. So I interviewed with them. Turns out it was another internship.
Okay.
But I love the energy, and I was already familiar with the company because I was at Arista, and Arista distributes Bad Boy Entertainment.
Okay.
So I was really excited about the interview. I got the internship.
Okay.
And then somebody in business affairs quit. And then he came to me and said, "Do you want a job?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want a job.
That's
Heck
awesome.
I need to get paid."
Yeah.
So I was head of production at Bad Boy for like 3 years.
It's
Wow.
insane. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you were dealing with you were in A&R. You were dealing with artists directly,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So crazy so you did that for 3 years. I mean, what artists did you work with? Like,
Oh
I guess
my gosh, everybody.
you worked with Biggie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Biggie. That was Biggie Prime, correct?
Yeah.
Like those.
Yeah.
Those were your years, essentially.
Yeah. When I first started working there, they were just finishing Ready to Die, and they were recording it in Puffy's grandmother's basement.
No.
Okay.
Which I thought was weird. Like, why are you like? You could go to a studio, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what the reasons were. But so,
Vibes
but
were right.
Biggie was a great guy, really fun. He actually. I have another great story because I haven't shared with anyone.
We'd love to hear stories.
We're all about it.
Okay,
We're all
so-
about him.
So I mean, I hope this guy isn't. So a good friend of mine, Todd Rubenstein.
Okay.
Okay.
He was Biggie's lawyer at the time.
Okay.
And he and I were hanging out, whatever, like a happy hour after work. Because we were working, because we often negotiate together with producers on projects.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Biggie's project was, we were working on Life After Death at the time.
Okay.
And so I said, I forgot something at studio. So by this time, Daddy's house was already fully operational. We were doing projects in the studio.
Okay.
Wow.
I also oversaw that as well.
Okay.
So so I said, Ty, let's go upstairs to the studio. I forgot something. I go upstairs. Biggie's in the room recording Sky's the Limit.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And the room is filled with weed. Smoke everywhere. Okay. And he's like, Dan, what's going on? Todd, why don't you come in the room and hang out? I'm like, okay. Because we're both like suits, he's inviting us in the room, and so we get in the room, and we're sitting there, and he's like, you guys want Chinese food? I ordered Chinese food, So we're like, no, I don't think so. I think we're good. We're going to go grab something. And he was like, oh, cool. I'm going to go in the booth. He goes and records, like, Sky's the Limit. And it's like...
Did you watch while he was recording that?
Yeah.
That's
I
sick.
often did that anyway.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that even though that time I did not smoke weed that day with Big, we were high from the smoke.
I mean, how could you not be?
We were like, those chow mein noodles look really good. Like, I want some. And he's like, and Big is, between takes, he's like, just scarfing it down.
Wow.
And Todd and I are like, dude,
maybe we should.
We should have ate. I should have taken this offer. But it's a great story because Sky's the Limit is a great song.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to be sort of having a contact high, in the room with Big recording it was really cool.
Wow.
And another story about Big I have to share is that one day he called me in the office
Okay.
and he says, I want to ask you about mortgages and mutual funds and how do I invest in a stock and all this stuff, And so the thing is that I tried to hide my finance background
Okay.
from people at Bad Boy in the music industry.
Why?
You know what? I didn't want people to think I was a square.
Okay.
I wanted people to think that I was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I get
Yeah, but I
that.
feel like they would. I don't know. Maybe it's different now, but I feel like they would want somebody like that in their circle. That's
back then that's
Yeah, I
how
was
I was
gonna-
thinking.
yeah,
because I came from the suburbs, and some of these guys are from like, Bushwick,
Yeah.
Brownsville, Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we had to do photo shoots there.
I get it. It's
nice,
It's not hard to be talking about your
Saj
bottom
and
natural-
Jack.
Brought up in Long Island, a
Yeah.
suburb kid. So it was just like I tried to keep it
On the down
on the low.
Yeah.
So then I get this weird call from Big saying, I need to ask you about mortgages, and he's never asked me questions like that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, Big, I'm curious. Why are you asking me questions? Why are you asking me these questions? Like, I'm just the business affairs person. He's like, well, I was at a party. I met a girl who says that she saw you out one day. Heard you worked at Bad Boy, and I were hanging out, and she says that you used to work on Wall Street.
Wow.
Got him.
And and she said I should talk to you. Oh, you want to find out? You got a guy working at Bad Boy right now named Daniel Evans. He can tell you all about it.
Oh my God.
And that's why I'm
What a
here. He
small
says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow.
Word
That's
spreads.
it.
Wow.
So then I gave him advice, which is funny because he said that when I asked him, why don't you ask your business manager this stuff? Do you have a business manager? I was like, well, he doesn't really know anything. So I figured I'd ask you. And so I helped him out a little bit, and he would ask me questions from time to time. I still kept it under wraps. Those
Yeah.
conversations were just between me and him,
Right.
For the most part. But then Puffy found out
Okay.
that I used to work on Wall Street.
Okay.
And then at a Vibe magazine conference, he gets on stage. He's the keynote speaker.
Okay.
He gets on stage and he talks about how great Bad Boy is, of course.
Yes.
He has all the great people, most talented people in the industry. He says, I even have guys who used to work on Wall Street getting paid 6 figures working for me.
Oh man.
Let's
and
go.
he's sitting right over there.
No.
You know, and everyone's looking at me.
Did he tell you he was gonna do that?
No.
He just
I didn't
found
know.
out
I
and
didn't
ran
know that
with
he
it.
knew actually.
Yeah.
You know, but when I heard it, I was like, oh no, like he knows.
I mean,
I was
you
like,
can't
he
hide it from
knows.
Puffy, man. I can't imagine you can. You know, like, kids like,
So
I'm gonna get him today.
did that wind up being like a positive thing though?
So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
he started asking me for advice, you know, and then, you know, he started to grow, and then I eventually parted ways with Bad Boy. 'Cause
Okay.
when he started, when his career started to grow, he was now an artist,
Okay.
and also after Big was murdered, it
Yeah.
was like really tough to work there. It was
I
really
mean,
tough.
that's what it seemed like that was the timeline with you and
Yeah.
them. It was like crazy. It was literally right when that happened, right?
Yeah, even that whole thing was weird because we always had a good relationship with Tupac.
Yeah.
You know, we all liked him, and him and Big were pretty tight.
Yeah.
And every time we had a party, Tupac was there, partying with all of us. You know, so
Yeah.
it was like, it was all love. It was great.
Yeah.
But then, I think when Suge Knight came to the Source Awards that one year,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, what happened was, so Tupac ended up in jail. I don't know how he ended up in jail, but somehow he thought that we had something to do with it.
Yeah.
And then Suge bailed him out. We didn't bail him out. You know, I don't know why we didn't bail him out. But apparently, after he got bailed out, Suge came to New York, went to the Source Awards, and said, you know, if you don't want your CEO dancing in videos, come work with us.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like kind of like a vital
That's how it all
moment,
started.
right? Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of back and forth history there. I mean, you're in the golden era, like, and that was. It's crazy though, because that was like kind of like your origin, like that what started a lot of things for you, correct?
yeah, a lot of my clients came from the music industry,
Okay.
sports,
Wow.
you know, LA. So it was really good. Yeah.
So when you were doing a lot of, like, let's say financial planning or management for these artists and these
Athletes.
yeah, were you basically like The Rock from Ballers?
Well,
What does that look like?
Okay, so he was a business manager.
Okay.
Okay.
So the way it would work is that the business manager would typically refer the business to me.
Okay.
So The Rock, you know, and I would have a relationship, and he would say, "I have a client for you, you know, to manage his money. You know, here's the client. Here's, you know." So that's how that would start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think James, we good? Yeah. No, so I think no, I guess I get confuse that a little bit sometimes because I thought he
bit.
was like the financial manager.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like he was just like, I mean, it looked like a pretty fun job.
Yeah.
You know?
It looked fun in the movie in that show. Yeah. But, you know,
Oh,
it's,
no.
you know, it's,
Oh,
it's,
no.
it's like bookkeeping, accounting. You know, it's making sure you have money for the week and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of hand holding. It's very
Okay.
high maintenance, very high touch service. You know, even with rappers too. You know, especially they like to get cash every week. So, and it's not like a small number.
Yeah.
I can
It's like
imagine.
$10,000 worth of cash.
Yeah.
And literally in a brown bag. You go, the bank delivers it to you, and you do whatever you want with it. I guess, you know, champagne for everybody, bottle service everywhere.
Whatever
you
you're doing that weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
taking a trip somewhere.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So, go ahead. No, you can go.
Go.
All right.
It's all you.
So, I mean, I think before I guess we're kind of wrapping up like that sector because I really want to start to talk about like what you do now because I
Sure.
think that's going to relate a lot to some of the people watching. But any valuable lessons, experiences that you kind of took away from working at Bad Boy?
Sure.
What would be some of those? I'm very interested to know that.
wow. Well, I would say that Puffy is one of the hardest working men I've ever met. Man,
Wow.
this guy works really hard,
Yeah.
and you know, he really enjoyed what he does. So I could say that, and it really pushed me to work hard. You know, he actually had a famous thing he used to say in the office that while everyone is sleeping, I'm working.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of love that.
Yeah.
You know, he, you know, it's the 90s. It's the hustle and grind,
Yep.
Culture,
Yep.
which you don't really find anymore, but it still works, working hard, especially doing something that you like, you don't have to pull an all-nighter every single night, but I mean,
You might have to do a couple.
Yeah, but when you love something, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just doing it. It's a part of you, So that's what I picked up from Puffy. And then I just, also, I was also in a lot of meetings with Puffy.
Yeah.
With Clive Davis, phone calls with different managers.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting because, he's really good at building relationships with people and building consensus with people who can make key decisions, whether it was radio or touring, all the different aspects, all the different channels of the business where you sell records and promote artists. He's really, really good at building consensus with tastemakers, influencers.
Okay.
I mean, it's called influencers now,
Right.
but back then we called them tastemakers.
Okay.
And once you had those tastemakers sort of in consensus with your record, you could start dominating the charts. So that was cool.
That was a different formula back then. It feels like I mean, now we're in the world of streaming. No more CDs, no more tapes.
Yep.
Yeah, the marketing methods and everything's so different. I feel like you've seen a lot of the. I wish people would kill to be part of that era. Just to experience that even for a year.
Yeah,
You saw a lot of things in its rawest form. Just as it was coming to life, which is super fascinating.
Yeah,
Do you
100%.
have you ever kept in touch with anybody from back then, or anyone that you've worked with?
I did for a while.
Okay.
I did for a while. But, it's wealth management is totally different than the music business.
Yeah.
And I had to really make a choice, and I chose to be in wealth management and be totally focused on it,
Okay.
and work with business managers and
Yeah.
manage money.
Yeah.
And then eventually a lot of people I stayed in touch with, we kind of lost touch. They went to other areas, other businesses. Actually, to be honest with you, we actually started to lose touch when Napster came out and people started getting laid off.
Oh.
Because people just get laid off and then you don't know where they went.
You said Napster?
Well, whatever. Yeah, Napster at the time was
It was like LimeWire and Napster.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
like the
Okay.
peer-to-peer music, free
Yep.
downloads, like that whole
Yeah.
thing. Very disruptive.
Illegal MP3s
Yeah.
uploaded. Yep.
And people don't realize how badly that disrupted the music industry. They were totally caught off guard. Caught off guard. So a lot of people got laid off or left to do other things, and we sort of scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've slowly been in touch with a couple people that I want to stay in touch with, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I think people are just doing their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, life goes on.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I guess to switch gears here, would you mind talking more about, what today looks like for you? What is your day-to-day like? What are some cool projects or things that you might be working on?
Sure. Well, so I was never really into social media all that much.
Okay.
I tried to a couple years ago. I tried to have Facebook account, Twitter account. I have LinkedIn. It was really tough to stay on top of all that stuff, you know? So I decided I was going to focus solely on LinkedIn, a little bit of Instagram.
Okay.
And that was, again, in 2020.
Okay.
That was when I started to use content as a major part of my business.
Okay.
To drive meetings and appointments with people and just to build relationships,
Yeah.
build a network. So most of the clients I have today are either entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs who are emerging out of a startup phase, or
Okay.
a high-performing executive at a later stage company
Okay.
or established company. And they have all kinds of issues. Like they have stock options they're trying to liquidate
Yep.
and manage tax efficiently. They come into large bonuses.
That's
that
what you guys do
manage.
too, as well.
Yeah.
You exercise stock options.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's very confusing to people, by the way,
Yeah.
that are in startups. They get these options. They don't know how that works, even from a technical perspective.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's the individual side. On the business side, I'm doing financial planning and analysis, valuation, looking at trends, helping them scale, exiting, looking at term sheets,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes raising money. That's a new thing too. I started raising money in the fourth quarter of last year.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
You know, it's not like the most robust part of my business, but it's probably going to be a lot bigger next year, I expect. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
but
So-
it's cool.
So are you based out the business based out of Long Island?
Garden City.
It's in
Yep.
Garden City. Okay. Cool.
Yep. I was in the city for a long time. I was near the World Trade Center, State Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so right across the street from the World Trade Center or whatever it's called today, this Freedom Tower.
Yeah.
So,
And you have like a team there right now? How like
yeah, it's
what's
really,
your
we're really a small group. There's about 3 of us, really.
Okay.
Like an associate, a social media manager, you know, and I have, you know, someone who does like charts and research with me.
Nice.
Okay. Nice.
So it's not like, we're not a big firm or anything like that. I'm not trying to be a big firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to get more assets, but I'm not trying to
Okay.
be a big firm.
Yeah.
You know, we try to stay as high touch as possible, not have too many clients.
Mm-hmm.
Although, you know, being on LinkedIn, people, they want to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if I have the bandwidth to work with everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
we're actually creating a digital channel so that they can invest in some of the in like a model portfolio that I'm
Is this
creating.
the course we were talking about?
Well, so there's a couple of steps. So there's the
Yeah.
course. The course is the first step. If, you know, many people who want to manage their own portfolios, build their own portfolios, they can take the course
Okay.
where they learn about how I manage money, how I see stocks, you know, what's the difference between a value investor and
Okay.
a macro thematic investor.
Okay.
We talk about talk a little bit about bonds and how they work, and who owns them, why they own them, why it works for them, and we talk about trying to create a plan on how to retire early or be financially independent.
Nice.
It's called the FIRE movement,
Okay.
but it's really been around for a long time. It's not anything new per se. It's just called FIRE movement today, but that's always been the case. You know, for financial planning, everybody wants to retire early or be financially independent.
Right.
So I created a module in there to do some sort of planning on what their target portfolio needs to be
Okay.
to retire or be financially independent.
Okay.
And then it tells them how many years it'll take to get there, depending on how much they're going to save.
So now when you're working with these clients, is this on a retainer basis? Is this a flat fee, yearly, quarterly cost? How does that typically work?
So for managed money, it's a fee. It's fee based.
Monthly?
It's monthly, but the annual fee.
Okay.
It's an annual fee, but it's paid monthly.
Okay.
And then for business advisory, there's a retainer.
Yep.
Okay.
They pay a retainer, especially with fundraising, because and people will complain about that, but you know, it's a lot of work to raise money.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of resources from my firm.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the founders or the companies, they need to have some skin in the game a little bit.
Yes.
You know, if we're going to market and promote a product and put our
Yeah.
necks on the line
Yeah.
for the company, they have to show that they're committed to it.
Yes.
You know, so that's kind of one of the growing pains of this building this part side of the business. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even, like Saj was mentioning before to you, we deal, with 5 Productions, a lot of tech. We build a lot of custom, software, whether it's mobile apps, web-based platforms, blockchain-based platforms. And there's many times where clients are like, because we deal with a lot of startups, entrepreneurs, people. It's their first experience in the space. So I say that because a lot of times we get, potential clients or even clients asking us, hey, let's partner. I'll give you X%. And so you guys can lower the cost. And our philosophy is pretty much exactly what you just said. We've been, building the brand for 10 plus years. We're going to put our neck out. We're going to see that, you have skin in the game. You know what I mean? So we need to work together. We need to go through some things, and then maybe we can revisit it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
I think we were we were talking about his, I guess, like venture capital background, right? What was it?
Yeah, definitely something. I know you just mentioned that's kind of a new sector, I guess, in regards to your firm, but you also have some other experience with that.
yeah. So when I graduated from the University of Maryland, I worked for a bank called Riggs Bank,
Okay.
Okay.
which is not around anymore. But at the
Okay.
time, Riggs Bank was like the prestigious bank for the presidents.
Okay.
I was based in Washington, D.C.
Oh, nice.
I actually worked in customer service.
Okay.
That was like the entry level into that bank. And I happened to be in the break room, and they have like a little help wanted, one of those signs or something. And I saw a position for venture capital in their London office.
Okay.
So, because at the time you couldn't do venture capital and banking in the United States, they were separated.
Okay.
So they had to do all that stuff in London. And I was like, you know what? This sounds really great. I'd rather go to London right
Let's
now.
try. Yeah, why not?
Let's just go to London.
So I
Yeah.
applied.
Yeah.
I applied. I got in. I started, and as soon as I got there, I started working.
You went to London, and you did that in London?
Yeah, I went there for a year.
Wow.
It was great.
Yeah, good
man.
experience.
Great experience. Great people. I got to travel around Europe.
Love that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you get to like Italy in like, I don't know, 3 hours or something like that for like $50. Traveling in once you get to Europe, it's
Everything's
easy to
so
get around.
cheap.
Yeah.
It's so cheap,
Oh
so
my
easy.
gosh.
There's so many options for you to country hop. It's like
Yes.
insane. Yeah.
It's like $40 to get to Paris. Like,
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We're
Even
going everywhere.
flights are cheap, man. Like if you're going to, let's say you're in like Paris and you want to fly to Switzerland, like it'll
Yeah.
be like a €50 flight.
yeah,
Like it's so cheap, you know?
crazy,
Yeah.
really crazy. So
Wow, that's
loved
awesome.
it. Loved London. I didn't want to leave. So I started interviewing with investment banks in London. I didn't get any jobs in London because they were in the middle of a recession.
Okay.
And they didn't want to take, I guess, jobs away from British citizens, which made sense.
Okay.
So I ended up
Okay.
back here in the States looking for a job. I finally got a job at Bear Stearns.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's an investment bank. Started working there. I told them I was interested in media entertainment. Always been interested in media entertainment. And my first deal, when I get there, I get thrown on the team where Viacom is acquiring Paramount.
Oh, wow.
So I'm on the deal team, and of course the deal closes, as we all know. And then it was great. It was great. I got to work on,
Yeah.
and then we got to work. I got to work with Mario Kazar, who is the CEO of Carico Pictures.
Oh, wow.
He so Carico Pictures, you know, they're the ones that made the Terminator movies and the Rambo movies. They
Yeah.
produced all those cool movies.
Wow.
But they were they weren't in the best shape.
Okay.
So we had to restructure their company and all that stuff, and you know, this is all public, so it's not like
Yeah.
a secret. But
Yeah, no. I mean, you've had a wealth of experience. It's kind of
You've had some
insane.
pretty cool experiences. I mean, that's
yeah.
awesome.
No, it's great. I got to work on the Snapple Iced Tea IPO
Okay.
also.
Wow.
And you're not going to believe this,
Oh,
but
God.
Marvel was bankrupt. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Really?
When?
Pretty much. I mean, well, they were I think they're bankrupt for a couple months, but
Okay.
the guy who owned Marvel
Okay.
could not monetize Marvel
Like you're talking like back in the day, like
back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the day. This is like 92. something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
So the corporate raider who owned Marvel couldn't monetize Marvel.
So insane. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, really, because it was comic books,
Yeah.
really. And so I'm not gonna take the heat for this, but
Oh, God.
one of the one of the ways that we advised Marvel was to license some of the characters, you know, to a studio. I mean, if you want to stay afloat.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't think they liked the idea. They ended up working with another firm, and they ended up doing it anyway with Sony.
Okay.
They licensed the Spider-Man character to Sony.
Okay.
So insane.
So, you know, it's funny because
Yeah, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 was Sony Pictures, wasn't it?
Yes.
It wasn't under the Marvel banner.
Yeah, we have
Sony.
Yeah.
we have our producer James here is a Marvel addict.
Fanatic?
Yeah, so
So
here's the
the
thing.
second you say Marvel, he's probably like, okay, what?
So
So you gave Marvel some advice, and Marvel didn't take your advice. Went to
But-
another company, used that advice.
yes,
Wow.
or they did it on their own. I
Okay.
guess they decided, you know, it made sense. But so the funny thing is, well, first of all, I'm not taking Marvel fans when they hear about my oldest son's a big Marvel fan.
Okay.
And he's like, I can't believe they did that with Spider-Man. That's just not right. You know, they still own it. And
Wait,
So-
what are we talking about? what do you mean? Did
Marvel
with-
doesn't own Spider-Man.
No,
Sony
Sony
Oh,
owns
Spider-Man.
Sony still?
Yes.
It's not on like Disney Plus and all that.
Yeah.
See, there we go.
Whoa.
So the way the deal works is that Sony has a certain amount of time to do a new Spider-Man movie, or they actually lose their rights to the to the
Is that why
character.
they've been butchering the Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. They just put out whatever they can. They'll do they'll do a Venom and a Spider-Man movie together or something like that, just
That's so
so
insane.
just to
Wow.
keep the rights. And meanwhile, Marvel fans are like,
What
you
the heck is
assholes.
this?
So, and it's like, who thought of that? Whose idea was this? I'm like,
That's
"Oh,
so
that's-
crazy. But I mean,
I wasn't the only one. I mean, I'm one of them, but not.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
But Marvel
man.
was like on the brink of ruin
wow.
at the time.
yeah.
But they did good. They did a deal with Paramount and a couple
Right.
other studios
Right.
to produce movies,
Yeah.
and now
I mean,
the
now
rest is
they're
history.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, we for I guess in a nutshell to summarize what you're saying, the whole Andrew Garfield saga was your fault.
He's laughing.
Wow,
He's laughing.
wow! I'm gonna come back here again. Oh man, he's a cool guy though. I think, right?
No, I think the
Sucks.
the screenwriters messed that up, but he was a really good actor. Like he was a good. I think he was a good funny Spider-Man, but he took so much heat for it. So,
I was
like,
gonna say. I mean, honestly, like I'm not the biggest Marvel, guy. I like it, but I didn't think he did. I didn't think it was that bad personally.
yeah,
I mean, if we're gonna rank him, he might fall towards the bottom. But like,
Yeah.
I didn't
Spider-Man
think it
fans
was.
go hard, man. They go crazy.
Yeah.
So they're like.
They do.
Yeah, they're like, and I'm talking from like the early comic book days, 80s,
Yeah.
90s. Like they're crazy, they're fanatics. So
I mean, Tom Holland's
take
doing
it
a great job
personal.
though right now.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really
agree.
like
Yeah.
him.
That Spideyverse movie was really good.
Which one? The animated one?
The animated one.
That was my favorite. That was
really
my
good.
favorite. That was so good. And
Yeah.
they haven't made a good Spider-Man like that in a while.
I think they're coming out with another one.
Oh, that'd be great.
The
That was
number
really
part
good.
2? Yeah.
Wow.
So good.
I saw that like 3 times at least.
So good.
I lost
It's-
count. So good.
Yeah.
I can't blame you. I mean, I think it's the best Spider-Man movie I've seen since like the OG Tobey Maguire movies. That's like really good.
Toby.
Yeah.
Toby.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's an OG now.
Yeah, he is.
He actually is. He actually
is an
is.
OG.
Your kid's a big like Marvel fan or like Spider-Man fan?
My oldest one, he's he's into it.
Okay.
He's into Marvel.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my youngest one, he's into Star Wars.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're two different in that regard. So
Yeah. That's interesting for kids these days to be a big Star Wars fan.
yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah, they got some new ones, that recently came out. Not as good as the OG stuff, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good a good story. So
Yes.
both stories are really great.
Oh yeah.
So you can't
very
really knock
unique
that.
for sure. It's a different take, the way they do the
Yeah.
story arc, the characters, everything.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, so for our viewers, I really want to. So let's say being that you're in like the financial wealth management field. Let's say someone is starting a company. Tips, tricks, advice
Sure.
for those kinds of people. And then I guess the second part would be I definitely want to hear some tips and tricks for people that are going down the route of raising money. This
Yeah.
is something that Saj and I deal with on a daily basis, but
Sure.
then even for our listeners too. I think it's super valuable.
Yeah, I mean, we're whenever we do solo non-guest episodes, we're always talking about tips and tricks and pointers and things that we can kind of add value to.
Yes.
You have a wealth of experience, and like would love to kind of hear like I guess what would you like say to someone that's like I guess starting
a
out?
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, the first thing I would say is that, especially if you have a product,
Okay.
that you only have one product. That you don't have like an assortment of flavors or sizes, just
Okay.
one product. I mean, let's say a t-shirt. Just have one t-shirt. Don't have like a bunch of different t-shirts with different designs. I work with a lot of CPG founders who are food and beverage,
Okay.
and they have a lot of products. They have a lot of flavors
Right.
and assortments of colors and all this stuff. And then what they don't realize is that these stores will have a hard time placing you on the shelves because that shelf space is real estate. You can't, you know, you expect them to put all of your products in the store.
Yeah.
You know, when there are other products in that category that sell,
Right.
you're brand new.
They're taking a risk on you.
So, and it's funny, I'm actually writing a book called The One SKU Company
Okay.
that talks about how every major company was started with one product. Coca-Cola was one product. In fact, it's still one product. It's just syrup,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then actually Apple started with one product, one computer for many years.
Yeah.
Apple had one product. Microsoft had one product. But those are kind of tech, hardware
Yeah.
type of companies. But
You got to focus in on what you're good at. You
Yeah.
know, can't like kind of run yourself.
and build a brand around it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's another thing too. I think it's much easier now than ever before to build a company
Yeah.
because I have done ads on social media for my company, just my company, on the same caliber. First of all, 25 years ago, I could not do an ad that could compete against Merrill Lynch, for example,
Yeah.
because the only medium available was TV
Billboards.
and billboards, and I'd have $100
Super
grand at the
expensive,
time
To do that.
to do that.
Yeah.
Super
But
expensive.
now it's like, you know, if I had $5 grand, I could do something
Yeah.
really massive.
Yes.
I think you make a really good point. It's so much more accessible now and so much more affordable compared to what it was because there's so many more options. I mean, population's basically double too from like back in the day,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, that's a really good point.
Another thing too is that I was about to take on a client who was working at a firm.
Okay.
I won't
Okay.
say the name. And then they quit the job to start their business.
Okay.
I was like, why'd you do that for? You know?
Wow.
So I would, if you have a job, I would keep it, and I would use that to fund your company as
Right.
long as you can, until you realize, you know what, I've gone as far as I can. I think I
Right.
need to raise capital.
Okay.
You know? Like, I think the headlines, they've sort of conditioned people when they're starting out. I need to raise capital to be successful. You know, and some companies do. But there are companies that have been bootstrapping, and they're multi-million-dollar companies today
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
because, you know, founders, they do everything. At least at first, they wear all
Yes.
these hats.
No, that's exactly
That's what has to happen.
That's
Yeah.
literally we were filming an episode earlier. We were talking about like my background, my origin story, and like I've done multiple startups before I built like Finally Free Productions, and that's literally what it was. We were bootstrapped. We were like every single dollar I was making with the jobs that I was working on the side was funding my vision and my dream.
Right.
Before we raised any venture capital, and then we raised venture capital to when it got to a point where like I need to go all in. I need to put in 150 hours, you know, and it's only possible when I'm not being able to do these part-time jobs, and then we raise money and raise
Right.
more capital. But 100% agree. And also like investors, love to see that you got skin in the game. You've put in your own blood, sweat, and tears into your
Yeah.
own business and your vision before you ask them for money or a handout. Like at the end of the day, that's what it'll look like is a handout if you haven't risked anything on your own. So it really depends on like what industry and avenue you're in. But 100% agree. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and also too, I wouldn't even say build a team really. Most people like to also build a team right away.
Yeah.
And I know for VCs that's important, having a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, I have another story to tell you. Oh my gosh, it's
Let-
relevant.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
go
let's
ahead.
hear
So-
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
100%. Yeah.
When I left Bad Boy, I started a company called Music Vision.
Okay.
Okay.
This is 1998.
Okay.
Check this out. This is a great idea. I was going to build a 24 hour, 7 days a week video music channel.
Okay.
Okay, well, hold on a second.
I'm
I know it's not a novel idea now, but back then, in 1998, oh my gosh.
Well, no, I wasn't, I wasn't gonna dog on it. I was actually trying to, like, I'm
I'm
90s
waiting.
I was
I'm
being a little
waiting for-
sarcastic a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because at the time, I was like, oh my gosh. I know all these record labels. I can get all these music videos for free. I'll just put them on an internet, on a website.
Right.
People could, like, create their own, like, music playlist
Okay.
type of thing.
Okay.
This is 1998.
Yeah.
Of course, I found out that the encoder at the time was like $250,000.
Okay.
It was about half the size of this table. And to build a website back in 1998 Cost $500,000.
I can't. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's crazy.
like insane.
that's
yeah.
like blockchain stuff now.
Yeah.
Same kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, any of these metaverse projects and all these things that we're building on blockchain, Web3 integrations, that's the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the range you'd be looking at, over $250,000,
Yeah,
200,000.
easily.
So it's like I did raise money, but they wanted like 51% of the company, and I turned them down, which is so dumb because I could have done other things.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say if they're raising money, they should really look at term sheets. And
Okay.
How much
find
did you raise, if you don't mind?
$1 million.
Okay.
Oh
$1
wow.
million. The reason why they took 51% is because you don't have a team, and so we
Yeah,
figured,
but you lose control.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't
Yeah.
want that, so I just turned it down. I couldn't raise any money after that,
Mm-hmm.
so I shut that down and opened
Moved
the
on.
chapter
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
of thing. But I would tell people starting out that, you know, look at the term sheet. There's a difference between control and ownership also. You know, different classes of stock and super voting rights, stuff like that.
It's
that
a
could
good
be
point.
considered,
That's a good point.
you know, but you know that, but also those negotiations depend on what kind of traction you have and what sort of product, you know, valuation you're at. You know, so it's just, you know, and they're obviously, you know, this. I mean, there's different types of investors. There's the VCs, and then there's angels and family offices. So
VCs,
they're all
angels,
different.
even the equity deals that you have. There's all kinds within startups. There's something called SAFE. Then there's
Yeah.
So there's all different types of. You need to know what you're talking about. The term sheets need to be on point. You definitely got to get a guy like Daniel on your
Yes,
team.
without a doubt.
That's right.
You know,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Evans and Company. Hit him up.
Yes.
I think. But yeah, I think I guess like as we kind of get to wrap, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Main question, but you know, unless you
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess like starting at Wall Street, then going into Bad Boy Records and Entertainment, working with Puff Daddy, working with, you know, seeing Biggie in action, being around all of these artists during their prime, then going back to financial, like wealth management, back to like your roots, to like, I guess like what you originally started. In a nutshell, the journey is bizarre. Like when you look at it from a 30,000
Yeah,
foot
it
view,
is.
it's like
It
you
is.
had a very interesting, radical change and insight that a lot of people would like. I mean, we're talking about legendary stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, easily. Working on the Snapple, IPO. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, so many different things. So what I would say is, I guess, how did these, like, what were your key takeaways in each of these pivots, right, to where you are today? Like, are you happy with the decisions?
Oh, that's funny. That's a good question. Well, you know what? At the time, I wasn't. I was like, what am I doing?
Okay.
You know, I mean, I went from 6 figures on Wall Street
Okay.
to making $19,000 a year. I could not afford to live in my apartment on the Upper West Side. I had to move out, live with my aunt,
Wow.
sleeping on the floor on the other side of town.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go to the fancy restaurants again at that point. I got into all the clubs and did all that stuff because I was a bad boy. But,
Yeah.
you know, it was a totally different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how different it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it would be different. I thought I'd work for like EMI Records and be a senior vice president of something.
Yeah.
But I ended up working at Bad Boy. And it was great. At the end of the day, it was great. I worked just as hard at Bad Boy as I did on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Love that.
And that's because of Puffy. He worked really hard. And that's why Bad Boy became successful.
Yeah.
He worked really hard. And of course, he didn't do it by himself. He had all of us there.
I mean, he had
Yeah.
smart people. That's the
He
goal.
did.
Yeah.
He did. So there were really only like 6 of us that were the key hires.
Like on the
pretty
ground,
much.
like really.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it was also cool because even though Puffy overshadows, you know, he's sort of the face of Bad Boy, and that's what people see. It was good to be in the music business and people meet us
Yeah.
from Bad Boy and they'd be like, now I see why Puffy was so successful because he had people like you know,
Yeah.
working there.
Yeah.
You know, it was cool to hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you don't
absolutely.
really get that.
Yeah.
You know, when your CEO is like, you know, casting this huge shadow over everybody.
Yeah.
You know, but that was good for the company.
Yes.
You know, it's a brand. It's
Yeah.
a brand in the day. So I really learned to just, I mean, I've worked hard my whole life, and you know, I would say that hard work for sure. If I've learned that when I want something, I have to work hard for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to come. It's not going to come to me. I mean, once in a while, you know, something serendipitous might happen, a door will open, or a chance meeting, and that's always cool.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, it takes hard work, and I think these days people don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
There's no substitute for hard work. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no alternative. You have to take the long route.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
for
even
sure.
working smart requires you to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that,
mean,
that's a really good point.
You know?
Because it can be easily interpreted, right, by some people. That's like just work smart, right, and that
100%.
might not mean that you're like you just said, like even though you're working smart, you're still putting in a lot of hours,
Yeah.
right? It's really just about efficiency.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and in that time, I mean, I absorbed a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, made a lot of observations. You know, opened some doors. So it's been great. So I would say, work really hard. Don't burn any bridges with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, always maintain a good relationship with people, stable relationship. You know, don't be a jerk. Don't be weird with people. Be optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
One thing that was good about Bad Boy, we were very optimistic about the future. Wall Street wasn't really like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they were very transactional, day by
Yeah.
day. You know, work on the next deal.
Yeah.
All deals look the same after a while. But you know, as a managing director, you know, you get to build relationships with people. That's fun. But you know, but relationships is everything.
Yeah. You never know. We always say this.
Oh yeah, we're pretty big on the relationship part and just never burning a bridge. And like a common phrase that we kind of like to use is don't ever close the door. Just leave it, even if it's just a little crack open. Just never close it. You just never know what the future may hold.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest athlete, NBA All-Star, came from a friend of mine from church.
Wow.
So that's what I mean by relationships. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
never know who knows who anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be surprised. And he came to me. It was like, oh, I'm going to Brooklyn, to see, my cousin.
Yeah.
I'll tell you his name, Stephon Marbury.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, really? He's your cousin? I'm like, yeah. And this guy was my roommate also.
Okay.
So he was like, yeah, he's having some sort of basketball camp clinic thing down on, down in Coney Island. And
Yeah.
so we went down there. I met him, and we worked together for like 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you just never know you never know who knows who.
Yeah.
It's like I think that's really key. That's something that I've learned. I mean, whether you're a CEO or an administrative assistant anywhere, everyone's the same to me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like as we wrap, we appreciate all of that. By the way, that was really good. I think I guess like my comment about you I've never met you before, and this is the first time, and we've been talking for a little bit over an hour now. You have like a calming presence
aura.
about you, yeah, and it's like like talking to you is like I want to listen to what you're saying, and I want to
appreciate that.
No, yeah. So I think through your life you've gone through all these like journeys, and it's so fascinating to hear it. Do you have any questions? I feel like we're missing.
No, I think we've covered. I think we've covered a lot. We very much appreciate the time, Daniel. I mean,
Sure.
it's
is great,
been
by
an
the way.
absolute
No,
pleasure.
thanks.
so
Our
much.
pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be a good episode because it's like you have so many interesting stories to tell. For us,
Yeah.
it's like when it's just us talking, we're kind of just all about business, and this is like we
I
kind
mean,
of
this
covered
was
both.
this was super fun, and
Oh, good.
I appreciate you sharing those experiences, man. I mean, they're one of a kind. I feel like
Yeah,
So
100%. Is there anything that you want to, I guess, like drop in terms of websites, links, or things that are
Yes.
happening? Yeah.
So my website is www.evansandcompany.com.
okay.
Right on the homepage is a mailing list sign up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you put your email in, your name. What you'll get is so when you sign up, you'll get an audiobook, which is called How to Fight Inflation. which is it's mainly for business owners, but for individuals to know about why we got here and how inflation began. It's a nice audiobook. It's only 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And it's free. So they get that when they sign up. And then every Saturday, they get what's called the macro view,
Okay.
which is basically things I'm seeing in the economy and culture and life and how they're affecting the portfolios today, how they're affecting my decisions for clients.
Okay.
And I try to pass on as many actionable things as possible.
Oh, wow.
And,
That's
so I'm
awesome.
building a nice mailing list for that.
Okay.
So it's, I guess just to reiterate, right? We have www.evansandcompany.com.
Yeah, we'll
and
drop
we
the
were just
link
talking
in,
about
in,
the
in every one
newsletter
of the
too.
episodes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. And the newsletter is something actually pretty new.
Okay.
But, the thing is, there's so many people out there that are looking for advice.
Yeah.
And while I can't give advice in a newsletter, I can certainly share how I see the stock market.
Yeah.
How I'm looking, what lens I'm looking at it through.
Yeah.
My background's in economics, macroeconomics.
Yeah.
I majored in that in college.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I'm
Yeah.
using to manage portfolios. And I actually didn't want to be a money manager. When I worked at UBS in 2007 or 2005, wow. In 2009, the market crashed,
Yep.
and everyone's asking me, so what happened to my money? What happened to the market? So, of course, I was called the money managers, the institutional money managers I had their money with. They didn't have answers.
Okay.
I couldn't even get them on the phone
Yeah.
because they're busy talking to their institutional clients, not to their, not to our clients. They were so pissed off. They were like, look, if you're going to manage money for me, I need you to manage it. You tell me what happened.
Yeah.
If this ever happens again,
We're
I
out.
want you to tell me. I want to hear from you. I don't want you to call, PIMCO and tell me
Yeah.
what PIMCO said. That's going to make me upset.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I pulled all the money out from institutional money managers, those third-party managers, and I did it myself.
Wow.
And it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great. I bought Apple at $6.96.
Wow.
cents.
Wow.
So
Oh.
without the
okay.
splits, it'd be like 500 today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Easily.
you can pay for experience, and I think a lot of people would definitely get a lot of value looking
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
the
Even just signing up to
newsletter, for
newsletters, free. You get
audiobook.
information, kind of like tune in. Any social medias that you'd want to drop? Anything?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm on LinkedIn.
You're a big
every
LinkedIn
day.
guy, huh?
Yeah, three times a week I post on LinkedIn. I don't know how
Really?
at the time.
How does it? Is LinkedIn good? You recommend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if you're starting out and building a company.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. People, there are lots of great people on there.
Like
Yeah.
we're on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I
my
love
inbox
LinkedIn.
is
It's just different, but yeah, the inboxes go
like it is,
nuts.
I can't filter through the spam and the actual people, and I get hit up every single day, and it's like, it gives me anxiety. And
Yeah, there are a lot of weirdos. They call to pick your brain and get information from you, and they
Yeah.
try to ghost you. It's just
Yeah.
it is weird like that, but
Yeah.
I find that that's every social media platform probably.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess.
Some sort of weirdness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spam,
Yeah.
and everything like that.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, Daniel, appreciate you coming down and sharing.
Thank you.
Sharing with us. As always, for everyone listening, we appreciate you guys. You can find us on YouTube, YouTube Shorts now, TikTok, Instagram, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever
Spotify.
there are podcasts, Spotify, you'll find us. And as always, enjoy the day and night wherever you may be. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.